live.
We are kind of live. We are back, though, and that is what is important. Did we ever leave? Yes, we did for a long time. So are we back? Not really. This is pretty much the first time. Welcome to another new first episode of Going For It. We are here with the gentleman, the brain trust, and I would like to welcome you both back. Hello, gentlemen. It has been quite some time since I've seen either of your faces, but very excited to talk.
I've grown a full beard.
Football. I've noticed
in that time.
His face is
blonde
better than
and
mine.
beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yes, his face is better than mine. He looks like a 12-year-old boy because he has that.
He's got
baby
that boyish
face.
charm. He really does. He's got that boyish glow.
Because you said there's video, anyone who cares to see could see the amount of wrinkles that I have on my fucking head. Can we say? Wait a minute. I don't remember if there were language concerns.
There are not. I don't give a shit.
Because look at it and look at his.
You gotta
forehead.
get past the first 15 seconds for YouTube.
Oh, are we past that?
No.
Yeah, we're past that. It's fine. We're good. We're fine. We're a minute in. So
is that a rule? I should know that.
I heard
it once.
It is actually 15
you get
seconds.
demonetized.
You can say shit. You can't say
wait
fuck.
a minute. We have to get monetized before we can get demonetized.
That's correct. That is a factual statement you just said.
Act like you've been there.
Fair. Pat, I now need a contract. I need to be compensated. I need to be monetized.
I need to be paid as if this was monetized.
You called us the brain trust. That was your problem, not my problem.
You made the mistake. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Anyway, we are going to get started tonight. I want to start by QB rankings in the division. And I want to start in the AFC East. I want to start with Craig Brooks because it just so happens that your quarterback is in that division.
That's right.
And there's another individual within that division that's going to tie into something else that I want to speak on and speak about and get some hot feelings about, who is Josh Allen, the Madden 24 cover athlete. And so
cursed. Absolutely cursed.
He's for sure cursed. For sure cursed.
It's a real thing. It's like 22 out of 25 times. Like, come on.
Something like that it's very high. It's a very high number. I should have looked up the curse.
Mike is good at all stats. He already knows it probably.
He's already got it in his brain.
I'm good at the Google. Hold on.
He is a
Craig,
good Googler.
Hit me with your AFC East quarterback
I need one
rankings.
question, one caveat question. Can we just do it under the assumption that full health, right? We'll do it under the assumption. Yeah, because then I feel very strongly about what I'm going to say.
I'm excited.
Rodgers, Tua, Allen, Mac Jones, or whoever. Yeah, and I feel very strongly about that at full health.
Okay, all right, at full health.
Yeah, and I can.
It's hard
back it
to
up
argue
if
with
needed.
you on the Tua. Please back it up. Continue.
Well, no, okay, because Aaron is 4-time MVP or something like that. Will go down as one of the best of all time to do it. But I think still to this day holds the best QB rating of all time. And he's active still, which is kind of crazy because you can only kind of make it worse. So that I feel like I couldn't put anyone above him in that. I know he's going to put the ball on spots. Are the Jets going to win the Super Bowl? I don't think so. The real thing is Tua Allen. And I think Allen showed us more about where he's going last year than 2 years ago. And I think a lot of people want to look at 2 years ago and say, well, no, look at the ceiling. Look at the ceiling. Fine. Everyone's got ceilings, right? I might have a good football ceiling. But the reality is if I got out there, I would get destroyed. Get destroyed.
You do not have a good football ceiling.
Wait a second.
Hold on.
At best, you have you have no football.
Your
structure.
bowling ceiling though is very high.
There we go.
Yes,
I should have said that. I should have said that. It definitely wasn't football. But any of the pro athletes, any of these 32 starters, theoretically their ceilings, you can make those arguments. But I don't want to do that because going off the best season a person's capable of is going to only make us fawn and be in the ether. Reality is that he doesn't protect himself well. I'm talking about Allen. He's now on the cover of Madden, which is a literal curse.
Bad.
And
super bad.
Tua at full health was literally statistically outperforming him last year. That is a real thing that happened. So,
would you? So
that's where I'm at.
Just Tua full health last year.
Mm-hmm.
Is he in the MVP conversation?
It's really hard there because if we're talking what was happening for 6 weeks and then timesing that by 2.75, Yes, 100% yes. That you can't do that though. And I'm not even trying to be delusional, but they were like 6-1 or something before the first concussion, or maybe it was 5-1. Don't quote me on that. And the numbers were kind of absurd. He was finding Hill, he was finding Waddle, even Wilson, Mostert. Obviously we'll get to this when we get to this. The running back core might get even better. We'll figure that out. But full health Tua is incredibly accurate. And these days, these coaches that are on the next level, that's all you need.
Mikey, what are you thinking? What are you feeling?
So in terms of the Madden curse, I Googled it and looked at the first response. So I've done a lot of research on this topic.
Deep.
And according to CBS Sports, if you go back to 1999, 60% of the cover athletes have been cursed.
Okay.
But
still
if
bad.
you go back the last 10 years, from 2013 to 2023, only 3 of the 10 cover athletes have been cursed. So the Madden curse is kind of...
Oh,
yeah.
I knew that. I knew it got less and less.
So the big curse for Josh Allen is going to be whether I think he has a good year or not, because I'm always wrong. The year I thought he was going to be good, he was trash.
He was terrible
for fantasy purposes.
Yeah, right.
And also not the best in real life. I feel like last year was a step back for him. I don't think that's
absolutely.
I don't think there's a controversy there. The year before that, I was like, this dude's not going to do anything. He's going to be garbage. And he had a superstar year that now everyone is comfortable saying Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes when they shouldn't be.
That's so false.
Where am I going to fall on Josh Allen? That's going to be the dictator on his season. And the answer is, Josh? I don't know. I think he's still the best quarterback in the AFC East, but I don't think it's that close. I'm really curious, being the disgruntled Steelers fan that I am. Josh Allen reminds me a lot of early Big Ben. Not quite as physical as early Big Ben, but
more agile.
Does play that physical game and gets banged up quite a bit. Big Ben had to change, but he didn't early. That's a thing that he worked on, got better, and improved on as his career progressed. And then by the end of his career, he was just slinging the ball all over the place. He wasn't running anything. If Josh Allen can make that switch, he's got a cannon.
Yes.
So I think he could still be good. I think Josh Allen still has a year or two of being one of the top quarterbacks in the league. That's why I'm comfortable putting him 1 overall in the AFC East, but I do think it's close.
Who's behind him?
Who's your 2, 3, and 4?
So I put
disrespect
Tua at
is
second.
about to come out of his mouth.
I put Tua at second.
Wrong?
I feel like the popular choice would be Allen, Rodgers, and then maybe Mac Jones, Tua. I feel like that'd be the popular choice. I think it's going to be Allen, Tua, 1 and 1A, and then Rodgers and Mac Jones fighting for that 3 and 4 spot. I think Rodgers is kind of washed up, and I am shook at the Jets suddenly being a favorite to win the Super Bowl.
So
wait, he just said earlier about Allen.
Yeah.
Basically, what he says is
put the money
opposite.
on Aaron
so
to win the MVP.
Jets to win it all.
Do it. Do it. Make that money. Send me a 5% cut.
So I'm gonna jump in here as well and say, Mikey, I actually agree with you. I think Rodgers is on the down.
See ya.
I think Rodgers is on the down. And this is also on the Packers. They don't protect him well. He didn't have a left tackle all season last year, but he did not look like Aaron Rodgers last season. With that being said, he's getting up there in age. He likes to sit in the dark for days at a time. He's doing his ayahuasca. He's going on his retreats. He's got, he's tatted up now. Like, he is not the same dude. I don't think he's as locked into the game as he was. And I think only being in a bigger market, yes, Green Bay, Wisconsin, obviously like massive franchise, he's going to go down as
legacy.
on
They're a legacy.
Yeah, for sure.
Like that.
For sure. But I think going into that New York market, having to answer questions in front of those New York reporters every other week for however many weeks and playing in one of the toughest divisions in football is not going to do well for him. And I honestly think that we're going to get one more year of Aaron Rodgers and he's done. I think he's done at the end of this year.
As long as he doesn't send any inappropriate text messages, he'll be better than the last Packer quarterback to go to the Jets. So he doesn't have a high bar to cross.
That guy did show his pee-pee to a lady and she did not want it.
No.
She didn't.
It's just never a good idea in general.
Not good.
Just don't do it.
Not good.
I'm going to say my hierarchy is 201, Allen 2, Rodgers, and Mac Jones, because I don't have any faith in Mac Jones.
I was way different than y'all. Mike, go ahead. But I was way, and I want to give one counterpoint after Mike's on the Rodgers thing that I want you guys to think on.
I'm open to arguments on Mac Jones being higher than Rodgers, but I'm not willing to make that argument. But I can't think of an athlete that most athletes will go out and when they do interviews and make those purposeful steps to make the public know them more on a personal level, it works out for them. I've not seen an athlete like go out there and be themselves in front of the media and try to build up this personality off the football field and have it blow up in their face so much. The Rodgers going on Pat McAfee show was so good for Pat McAfee, and I think so bad for Aaron Rodgers.
I don't hate that take on that. I do think the McAfee show grew from it. Better guess. I don't think it was as bad for Aaron as you think, but I get where you're going with that. It got media from the COVID angle, from this angle, from that. But my counterpoint isn't about that. It's about when we saw moments where he was slighted in the past, he rose. So that was like draft falling. Then he had a nice little sit down, shut up, got real upset, ripped and won a Super Bowl in the first, 2 years after starting or 3 years after starting, right? Then he's just relevant for the rest of the time until they draft Jordan Love and he goes back-to-back MVP after that. Then we have the down year. We know a few things now, though. We know that he and Gutekunst weren't seeing eye to eye. That's the GM, I think, or maybe not GM, but like they have a president or something.
Is their GM.
Okay, yeah. We know they weren't seeing eye to eye. We know they kept, if I can be blunt, fucking him, aside from the backfield, which is a fantastic backfield. Fantastic. Arguably maybe the best duo in the game. They were fucking him on weapons from the passing game for a decade, right? If we get chip on the shoulder Aaron that we've seen 2 other times historically, I think he's going to surprise everyone. Because if that Jets defense is as good as they were actually last year and as good as there could be, he isn't going to have to do as much. And that is when we could see a Tom Brady Bucs version of Aaron Rodgers, only if that Jets defense is as good as they're being talked about. That's the counterpoint.
So my counterpoint to your counterpoint is, how old is Aaron Rodgers, Craig?
If I were to guess
87.
right off the top of my head, I would say 38, my
He's
age.
39 years old.
Okay, I was close.
It is easier to be that fucking guy when you are 35 and 36.
I agree.
He is now 39. The Jets, from everything that's coming out, have an outstanding defense. And I have no doubt in my mind that they are going to continue to have an outstanding defense. Bob Saleh knows what he's doing. Smart dude. Their offensive line is not the best.
Well, are you counting before that epic? Breece Hall and some epic lineman got injured for the season in the same game last year.
Right.
If they're both back full strength, that is a stronger offense.
It is, for sure. And they have the offensive rookie of the year, and like that offense has the potential to be dynamic. The issue is the offense for the Packers stayed the same with the same weapons year after year. And last year we saw Aaron not have the same juice he had.
Out was a massive miss, a massive piece.
But if you ask Aaron if that was the reason that his numbers were down, he's going to tell you no. How long did it take Christian Watson to get involved in the passing game? Like
9.5 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. Like I had this dude on my bench forever.
Do you think you guys would be saying that about last season? Oh no, well, Mike didn't say it, but you did. I think he agrees. If Devontae doesn't leave, Devontae is arguably 1, 2, or 3 for most people's opinion of wide receivers in the league. If he doesn't leave, are we even talking about this? Because they may.
If his numbers are the same, yeah. If he's got the same numbers, it doesn't matter who you're throwing the ball to. If you can't get the ball out, what does it matter?
And those, what? It was Christian Watson and Romeo Dobbs, if I'm pulling a name out of a hat. I think
Romeo
that's his
Dobbs,
name.
Alan
And
Lazard.
maybe one. Lazard I'm fine with because he was at least a vet. But I believe both of those two, Dobbs and Watson, were rooks. And I think there was one other rook. So to me, not to make but I do this from a year ago. I fucking do this. I'm going to make a basketball reference. The Miami Heat with friggin' 7 undrafted players taking it all to the finals, right? It's like, you give him enough time. You give an MVP caliber person enough time, they'll get there. And now I think he's in a better situation. But again, I love that I'm on the other side of this. This will be a very fun season for many reasons, but that I will remember when we get to the end of that AFC East. I want it to be Miami, by the way. Well, I just hate that I felt the division got more competitive. You guys, sounds like you guys think less, but I mean, I think it gets harder now.
Anything to add, Mikey?
I don't think it necessarily got less competitive with Rodgers going there. I think the Jets are a slightly better team with Rodgers, but I do think that they were going to be a tough team no matter what. I think going into it.
Was going to be a problem.
I don't think Rodgers is going to be a huge improvement. That's more. I don't think he's a huge upgrade.
Yeah, compared to Rodgers is better than Flacco. He's better than Wilson. He's better than Mike White. He's better than like every Joe Schmo that they've run out there. But like, what is the ceiling of better?
But both of you are saying he might be third or fourth best in that division, which means both of you would be saying he's probably not even top 5 in the league. This guy won back-to-back MVPs 16 months ago.
The most meaningless award in sports.
I mean, come on. That's not true.
But okay, that is not true. So let me use that to tell you he did both of those with Devontae, and when he didn't, he looked like shit. So what does that mean for Aaron Rodgers as a quarterback?
Everyone needs somebody good, right? Patty can't even do it by himself.
Daniel Jones doesn't. Richie James, motherfucker.
Well, when Danny Dimes is in the conversation of Super Bowls and MVP awards, meaningless or not, we can compare that. But even Mahomes, who I love and I think is the bona fide one, and it's not even, there's no longer a tier in my opinion. No, it's him alone and a step down in my opinion. I don't even think we sell that story without Kelsey, without Hill, without Andy Reid. That's just me.
I agree with that. I do want to pivot from this, even though I love the Aaron Rodgers slander that we're having right now. He'll never hear it because who the fuck are we? But
no,
still.
What if he's petty like Kevin Durant? What if he's petty like Durant?
He's got a team of AI just scanning all the sports podcasts for references to his name.
Mike, you're right.
Is very rich.
You might be right. And you know what? Maybe that's what Durant's doing. That's why he's got the time to reply. He's so rich too. He started like investment funds and stuff.
He's very rich.
These petty motherfuckers are using their money for evil.
I love it. I do want to stay on Josh Allen, even though we went on our Rodgers tangent. Josh Allen, Madden cover athlete, and I think that seems a little off compared to our last 10 Madden cover athletes. So I have them listed here with some accolades. And then I want to get your guys' take on whether or not you feel like Josh Allen deserves this title and this opportunity. So 2014, we had dual covers. We had one and a separate one. Adrian Peterson, Barry Sanders. 2015 Fantastic. Was Richard Sherman.
Love it.
2016 was Odell Beckham Jr. 2017 was Rob Gronkowski. 2018 was Tom Brady. 2019 was Antonio Brown, coming off of one of the best receiving seasons ever. 2020 was Patty Mahomes.
Yeah.
2021 was Lamar with that ridiculous MVP season. 22 was Patty Mahomes and Tom Brady. And 2023 was John Madden himself.
Yeah, right.
So quick anecdotes. Yeah. In your face, John. 2014 AP AP in 2012 rushed for over 2,000 yards. He rushed for over 2,000 yards. It's not all purpose.
I think there's only been like 5 of those ever, by the way.
Right, exactly. So that was his why, and Barry Sanders, one of the best of all time. Richard Sherman, 2013 and 2012 and 2013, he had 8 interceptions both seasons. In 2012, he had 24 passes defended. In 2013, he had 16. 2016, Odell Beckham Jr. won Rookie of the Year, and he had probably the best non-playoff catch ever.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely.
in the history of the NFL. Gronk is a GOAT. Brady is a GOAT. AB, like we said, coming off of one of the best wide receiver seasons of all time. And in that moment before all of the insanity occurred, could have gone down as one of the top 5 receivers in the NFL, especially if you're looking at height.
Oh, if he didn't Kanye, he would have. If he didn't do that, he was that good. Mike probably is still sad about how that didn't work out.
This is kind of sad.
The curse got him good. Yeah,
real good. It got his brain. Good. It got his brain. Good. Not his physical ability. His brain went.
The most amazing thing from that whole story is apparently it was always that way. It's just it was kept under wraps.
Tomlin was a wizard. That's what that is. He's a very good coach.
Yeah.
2020 Patty Mahomes, the next GOAT. Lamar's MVP season was the second coming of Mike Vick. It's hard to argue against that. I mean, I think Lamar has the weakest case to be included in this list currently, just because he hasn't done a whole lot, but you can say he hasn't had a lot of weapons to do a whole lot. But regardless, then we have Patty and Tom Brady, the past and the future GOAT. And then John Madden, the man the game is literally fucking named after.
Yeah.
Mike, I'm going to start with you. Does Josh Allen deserve to be on this cover?
So I don't know how the cover's picked. I can't imagine that it's just them sitting there and there's a couple of people in a room saying this is who it's going to be.
That's how it goes.
Is it? There has to be some type of contract negotiation or extra payment going to the player, or
they do get some sort of compensation.
Compensation for it, but
they do get
Madden
that.
is the one that picks the cover athlete.
Because I'm looking, I did a quick Google search, and it looks like there was a period of time where it was players voting on who would appear on the cover, but that I think ended.
Interesting.
So
I do not think they would have let him be on the cover.
Who, Josh Allen?
Yeah.
I don't think Josh Allen is an anomaly on the list of players that you mentioned.
Really?
No, I think when you look at those players at the times that they were chosen, it was either right after or within close proximity to them having an amazing season. And that's exactly where Josh Allen is in his career. And he's also widely accepted as like 2 or 3rd, top 1, 2, or 3 best quarterback in the AFC. Whether we agree with it or not, that's where he's commonly being ranked.
It's true. It's true. But I don't think one good season means that you should be on the cover of Madden.
He didn't have just one good season. I mean, he's had multiple.
He's at 2. He's at 2.
No, he's had one good season and he's had one fine season.
That might be true if we look, because that first one was actually, he threw like, don't quote me, but either like 49.5 or 50% completion. And people were saying, oh, he can't hit the side of a barn. Then he fixed it. Now, last year or the year before, he got all the way up to like 67, almost like Drew Brees territory for completion percentage. And that is when they started singing his praises above Patty, which offended me. I'm being honest. I'm offended by that because I think Pat Mahomes is so clear and above. But, well, Pat, you're definitely right. They choose internally. They went to a fan vote. Then they went back. Madden chooses internally again. But when I look at their list of who else they were considering, it was Josh Allen, Justin Jefferson, Joe Burrow, Josh Jacobs, or Madden himself again. I feel like Burrow and Jefferson would have made more sense to me than good. Allen. Josh Jacobs, I get why they would have him in the conversation because he led the league in rushing. He doesn't. That would be a miss. He also had some bad optics in the media from something. I don't remember what it was. Some like mini scandal. So you can't do that. But Justin Jefferson is arguably the number 1 receiver in the league, making Odell level catches, doing the right things, and then created a whole trend himself of the gritty, right?
Yeah.
Burrow is so special. Cool. I'm so grateful as a football fan to be in the now. I was so nervous. Mike remembers us talking about this when we were younger lads of like, we're living in a great time with the quarterbacks. We got all these studs and icons and Peyton Manning and all that. And then there was this nerve-wracking 5 to 7 years where you're like, oh no, they're all getting old. I don't know if the league's going to go good. And then what beautiful magic happens where we have these talents coming that, like you said, a soon-to-be GOAT or eventually might be the GOAT, Pat Mahomes. We get to live through that. Burrow's this like anomaly. He's on 2.
He's the coolest dude I've ever seen in my whole life.
Cool as fuck,
He's
dude.
So cool.
So cool. His interviews are so worthy of watching because he gives 0 fucks about anything but his team and ball. and it is apparent. And he's working around it. They're even possibly talking about restructuring or creating one of the weirdest and most unique contract deals ever, so that
percentage
he can
of the
keep
cap.
guys. I'm hearing percentage of cap. I'm hearing crazy shit. They want to change rules for some of these young men now, like of how they can compensate them. So it's wild.
So I did do some digging on, and I guess you could say Allen's 2021 season, which was not as good as his 2020 season, but was fairly close in most statistical categories. His rushing was significantly up that season.
I think Mike's right that he had at least two good ones.
There was
He's
two
had
good
three
ones.
good seasons in a row. It's just last year wasn't as good.
Well,
but I believe the reason I
don't the reason I don't agree is because last year, so he had the 35 touchdowns, which is sick, 14 picks, which is kind of a lot, but he also fumbled 13 times and lost 5.
Yes, because he was taking hits.
If you're going to run as much as he does, you need to take care of the football. And yeah, like he had a good season last season. It's in the world of like, you have Stephon Diggs, you have Dawson Knox, you have, Gabe Davis, you have all these weapons. Throwing for 4,000 yards doesn't mean anything to me anymore. Like Drew Brees did 5,000 yards multiple times with significantly less. Like Peyton's done it, Brady did it. Like if you're not at 4,500 with the weapons he has, I don't care. You have a good offensive line, you have a great system that you've been in for an extended period of time.
He's got 750 rushing yards each of the last 2 years too.
He does. That is a part of his game and always will be until the injury, until what's inevitable now, because he won't protect himself.
Well, and we thought it was last year. The UCL injury wasn't different,
guys. If he was doing the things we see Mahomes do, the slides, the run out of bounds, the avoiding the hits, unless it's the Super Bowl,
right,
I would have him higher on my list. I'll be honest about that, because he's enjoyable to watch play as long as it's not against the Fins.
Dude's got a gun.
I love that win. He has an absolute cannon. I lose respect for the guys that follow the Andrew Luck path. It's so fun to watch Andrew Luck, but protect yourself. And when you don't, you end up hurting your team and your franchise, your team and your fans by accident. They don't mean bad. Carson Wentz didn't mean to break both ankles at once. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't mean to be. Yeah. But when you don't play smart, you can't have that 15-year plus career at that position now. So especially because running's such a part of it. And that's why, for me, he doesn't deserve the cover over the Burrows or the Jeffersons, but I understand why they chose him.
I agree. I would have preferred a Justin Jefferson cover. I think that would have been awesome. Joe Burrow is awesome.
Jefferson doing the gritty would have been the cover. Burrow, did you guys each of you either see? I'll gotta find it because it was so cool. I think it was the Bengals socials that put it out pre AFC. Didn't they make the AFC Championship again, or the game before it, or whatever?
Yes, they made the
pre
AFC
one of those playoff games. He was doing a warm up throw, and he did like a spin,
walked away,
and it was such a beautiful. And I know it was gamified and edited, that, but like he deserves the coolness factor that he has earned, and he's playing in a way that, again, is fun to watch, even for a fan of a different team.
I agree with that. I agree. Any final thoughts, Mike?
I've never put this much thought into the Madden cover in my life. I didn't. I was just
on Antonio Brown's cover. Talk to me about it.
We used to play that game, dude. That was a game we played
back when it was good. But then after 3 or 4 years of it just being like, pay us $60 for essentially game. For a roster update, and we'll break a couple of features that you really liked.
We'll take the thing you liked.
Yeah.
And we'll break it. Mike, remember
now
Truck Stick?
NFTs to it.
Is that happening? Did you hear about that?
Is that true?
Maybe.
Do you know? Is that...
I don't want you to rush out and buy it.
No, but I actually did hear something about either somebody buying EA or some other stuff. I don't know and then NFL Rivals is a game that's out on phones that has a crypto element to it. I played it. It's like NFL Blitz, but on your phone. So it's a little bit fun. I haven't been gaming. You guys both like it more than I do. I know that. I don't know if either of you have the time anymore, because now we all have the children's and whatnot.
Significantly less time.
So I don't know how gaming goes with a young child, because that's what I have, and I game 0. So I have a lot of feelings on the cover of a game I will not play.
Or purchase or ever see.
I don't even get the same joy out of the one-off games. Like Justin and I played Mike after one of the drafts, and I think I even won or surprised him in some way, either by score. I can't remember whether I won barely or scored enough, and I never play. And I was doing the same old strategies of old of just try to do the same 3 plays and dominate. And it against a better player, that obviously doesn't work. But Mike and I had that for years and years. He would do more strategically sound things. I would throw a streak to whoever was my fastest receiver over and over again. Is that how your memory eventually is? Or do you?
My memory is you had 1 play, I had 3 plays. And
that's close. That's close to what I said.
That's pretty much what you said.
And it was a lot of Steelers-Cowboys games.
Oh, always. Which is the only reason I know names like Yancey Thigpen. Like, that's not a name you need to know.
That is a
historically.
Name. No, it's a good name. It's a strong name.
It is a good name.
It's a strong Yinzer name.
I'm learning so much more about Yinzers because I listen to the McAfee show, and not that we're talking about it this episode. I like Kenny Pickett, and the Pickett to Pickens thing. I'm a little biased. He's my hold in a dynasty league, but that's on purpose. I want to say I got him on my squad in 4th and goal, I think it was, because I realized I've given away my picks so badly in this dynasty league that I'm going to suck for another year or two. I wanted a guy that I think could start something, and that's just where I'm at. I think Pickett to Pickens. I'm not just trying to give Mike hope. I do think it'll matter, and they could be incredibly important in the NFL. They're in the AFC North, even with Burrow where he's at.
They're going to have to pay those guys eventually.
Exactly. That in 3 years, there's going to be a big old window for the Steelers again, because it's not even with the percentage of salary cap shit. At what point, when you have 2, 3, they have 3 that need to be paid at like tippy top. Maybe you could argue 4. It's going to be a no. And then people have to go. And that's the business side that we never as fans really take in properly, that there's a business side of this that will always fuck up our favorite things.
Well, you got to think too, like T. Higgins, I'm sure loves winning, but I'm sure he would love winning as a number 1 more than he loves winning as a number 2.
And if you don't win the rings
and Jamar Chase's team,
correct.
And then it's like, oh yeah, T. Higgins is there.
I think it would be different as the 2 on the Chiefs. You already have a couple rings, you already like that. But when you don't have any, and there's another team that is willing to pay you, let's call it several $1 million a year more, because we know that's what it ends up coming down to, or they'll front load you with Mondo cash now that the Cincinnati will not do.
They won't do that.
That is why the Steelers are going to have a really nice window. I don't know if they do right with it. That's up, but I trust in Tomlin. But there's going to be Steeler relevance, which is, I'm nervous for my $500 bet with Pollard, because I'm in my Dolphin window right now.
Yeah, right
if
now.
It doesn't happen now, the Steelers will definitely get the 7th before Miami gets the 3rd. I fucking know that. But if I get one quick, which it's not looking good because fucking Pat Mahomes and fucking Joe Burrow,
and those Super Bowl windows can close as quickly as his head can bang off the back of the turf. Like,
my guy doesn't know how to fall. He does not know how to fall.
That's just like, that was the Super Bowl window banging closed.
But for real, it was so bright for those first 6 weeks. Me and Tony are even texting. We don't even text a lot separately, right? We have the thread, and then we have like an excitement text thread going of just like, dude, like a dolphin emoji here and there, right? Like my chiropractor, my old chiropractor, who's a Dolphin fan, we were texting in those first 6 weeks or whatever it was, and then he hit his fucking head.
He smashed his head. It was so bad. He's like, yeah, it's my back. And it was like, no, man, that was not your back.
It's not your back. It's your fucking brainstem. And it's broken.
That's why you're confused.